everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm so sorry for the delay. I think we're waiting for StuKent colleagues to rejoin us, but I don't want to keep you waiting, as I'm sure many of you want to attend other sessions and get on with your day. So if StuKent colleagues do come back, they'll chip in. So do bear with us. So someone just wrote in the chat, did StuKent sleep in? It's quite funny. I think there's just some technical issues. But thank you everyone again for joining. I'm Nicole Goldstein and I lead partnerships at Facebook, particularly in the space of higher education. So I'm just going to run through what we'll cover. I just want to check that everyone can see the slides. If some of you just want to type into the chat that the slides are all working, that would be great. So today, what we're going to do is really just talk you through how we've designed marketing skills pathways. And we're going to talk about the research that we have done around higher education strategy and what our offerings are. And these are Educators Portal, our online content, our certification, and of course, connecting learners to roles. So before I get started, there are two things I want to do. One is to thank so many of you in the StuKent ProfCon community, and also so many educators who've joined today for all your help and ideas throughout this journey. So just to call out a few people that I've seen here, Karen Freeberg at the University of Louisville, who's been a great ally, supporter, and a great help in really guiding us through the design process. Also, Scott Cowley has been fantastic, the University of Western Michigan. There's also some other folks here as well. So just a huge thank you for staying with us on this journey. The second thing I wanted to do is, it would be remiss of me not to really thank you as educators for everything that you've done during this pandemic and continue to do. This, as we all say, are unprecedented times that we find ourselves in, and you have continued to support your students in such challenging circumstances. So thank you for keeping everything going. Really what we've done at Facebook is just try and help you with extra resources that may be of use. So we have run some webinars to really support our community of educators to understand what resources Facebook has to offer. We've also provided some certifications, free certifications for students. So we did that in March through our CTE partners and of course StuKent. So we did that, and we'll probably be doing another drive to offer free vouchers. We've also designed a flipped classroom model so that educators can offer up more activity-based learning for their students to do in their own time. And of course, we continue to want to understand what else you need. We recognize that schooling may not go back to what it was, and it may be some time before some of you go back to teaching face-to-face. So definitely keep us updated if there's anything else you want from us. So some of you are very familiar with Facebook and obviously use it in your day-to-day lives and keep in touch with friends and family. But I thought I would just helpfully set the company in context. So here is our 10-year roadmap. And you see we have Facebook and Instagram, at the bottom under ecosystems. And then under products, we have really our messenger tools, such as Workplace, which is our enterprise model, Messenger itself, WhatsApp, and Watch. And we're really focusing on supporting, community managers for groups. I know some of you here do run groups on Facebook. So in this present phase, that continues to be a priority of ours. In the 10-year trajectory phase, it's a deeper focus on artificial intelligence, augmented reality and virtual reality, as well as continuing to support emerging markets with internet connectivity. So in terms of my team at Facebook, we are the business education team, and externally we're known as Facebook Blueprint. And our mission has really been to support clients, so our big media agency clients and high-value businesses with in-person and online training experiences as well as certifications. So that was when we were founded about 5 years ago, and the two certifications for those types of clients have been our media buying and media planning certifications. So we would encourage employees within those media agencies to make sure that they were fully skilled and equipped to answer their clients' questions and needs. And as we progressed along our journey, we recognized that there was a need for actually content and learning experiences in the higher education space. And so over the past year and a half, we have been partnering with educators and also job seekers and students to understand what their needs are and what certifications would best suit them. So we've developed out a couple of different certifications: marketing science, creative strategy, and a developer marketing set of certifications. And going forward, we've developed this entry-level digital marketing certification, really for the student audience. So hopefully that explains sort of our journey and how we've developed as a team. The reason why we decided to go, one of the reasons rather, we decided to go into supporting content needs of educators and students was just as how we were looking at the landscape and the huge growth in digital media spend. And this graph here is to illustrate how strong that growth has been and, continues to be so. Even in times of COVID, we've seen a huge uptake of our products, and that was in our latest earnings report. There's even a more need for people to be online and connect to each other. And of course, we've seen a major growth in direct-to-consumer businesses and just making sure that our small businesses are ready to really tackle that leap. So you see no surprise there in this graph that the spend in print media and magazines has declined, and also television to some extent, but not as sharp as obviously the print media. And with that, and obviously with the structural changes in the economy, we have seen that there is a demand for skill sets in digital media. And you can see here the median salary is pretty generous. So we know that students and potential job seekers will want these skills. And yesterday I was on a call with the Chancellor of a university, and he said to me that these aren't just skills for a job, they're actually life skills, and every one of us needs to really understand how to create our own personal brand and do the basics, at least in digital media. So I thought that was quite powerful. So now we are moving on to our higher education strategy. In this section of my presentation, we'll talk you through what we've done, the research we've done to get here, and how we continue to evolve. So many of you know that we are focusing on 4 segments of higher ed, and we want to try and be as inclusive as every educator's needs. So career and technical education, community college, university, and business schools. So when we embarked on this journey, we set out 3 main goals. One was to provide educators with the most up-to-date, industry-relevant content. The second was to support learners from all backgrounds to be able to have access to strong content that would advance their competency levels and enable them to support their careers through a certification and demonstrate their skill set. And then the third opportunity is really to connect our client ecosystem with skilled and diverse talent. And our client ecosystem, as you can imagine, is wide-ranging. It's our global account clients from the likes of Procter & Gamble and Unilever, as well as large media agencies. And then, of course, the 70 million small businesses that use Facebook advertising products just to further their own sales and communicate with their customers. So the point to mention here on this slide is really how much the emphasis we've placed on trying to connect with different types of educators across the country and across the world to really make sure that our content is accessible to whoever you're teaching. And you can see we've partnered with the likes of Harvard Business School, Wharton on the one end, to community colleges, on the other end, and trying to answer different needs. So we've piloted, we did a pilot from December until March time, and we tested out our V0, I should say, with lots of different educators. I just saw that someone is having difficulty hearing me. Can I check that that I'm still audible to many of you? Would you mind just typing into the chat if you can still hear me? I see Ute says my sound is on and off. Any responses? Okay, so people can hear me. Okay, great, thank you. So just to say thanks everyone that we've formed extremely close relationships with educators and institutions, and continue to want to hear your insights as we progress on this. So I want to just go through now what I think the benefits are for educators, students, and our employer partners, our client ecosystem. So one for educators is really to offer up to you up-to-date industry relevant content. And I should mention, we aren't creating curricula or even, advising you on how to organize your syllabi. That's, your choice and totally your role. And we definitely don't want to overstep our boundaries. But we are just enabling you, should you wish, to have a set of different types of content experiences available to you. And you can pick and choose whatever you like from our portal, mash it up with your existing content, and just own it as if it's your own. So I did want to say that here, Professor Karen Freeberg has been part of our pilot experience throughout, and she's been able to offer up some of our pilot content to her students and incorporate it within her curriculum. So definitely, if you want a fellow colleague who's got some advice on how she's done it, definitely speak with Karen. I'm sure she would help you. Karen also runs a group for professors on Facebook, social media marketing professors. So if some of you aren't members of that, I recommend that. It'd be great to join it. I've definitely learned a lot from that. And we've also been working, this is a testimonial, if you will, from Keith Niedermeyer at Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, and he teaches undergraduates and MBAs, and he helped us develop some more of our practical-oriented content where students of his ran campaigns for a client company. And so we're hoping to build more of that content out so it's much more practical and hands-on. For students, we believe that what they're looking for, particularly at entry level, is the applied aspects of learning to really showcase their work to a potential client or an employer. So they while theory is extremely important, I think when we interviewed students, it was the running of campaigns that they felt was going to help them early on in their careers. And then for our client ecosystem, so employers, they have really looked at what the industry needs, and it's a cry out for skilled and diverse talent that often reflects the user base, their customer base and their users. And so they want marketers who have that mindset, and they also want entry-level marketers to know how to use the product, get going really quickly, and from the employer perspective, while they want to offer up support to new recruits, they would love it if the new recruit can hit the ground running on the first day without too much of an onboarding process. So what is this educational opportunity? There's 4 parts to it. One is content for educators on an educators portal that some of you may have seen already or be even using. There's online content, 6 hours worth of online content. There's our certifications. We recommend the associate's level certification for students. And then there's our work, which we are kicking off in September, where we're connecting learners to jobs from freelancer networks and also clients within our ecosystem. So I'm just going to take you through each one of these 4 areas. So content on our educators portal, let's go through that. So this is our educators portal, looks like this. It's quite a simple repository of content that you can find on it. And we've deliberately made it so because we recognize there are educators want to be able to download content and plug and play into their existing syllabi. So what did we learn from our pilot? Well, we learned a couple of things. One was we needed much more content on creative strategy, particularly on the Instagram products, which we know that many young people are probably Instagram first users. We also have thought about how feasible is it for us to actually support educators who want to pair up their students with small businesses and nonprofits in their community, and also design more project work integrated within the content. And another common feedback from educators who took part in our pilot was very much that the online content that we've designed didn't always match up with the content on the educators portal. And that was particularly important to educators who wanted their students to do the certification. So the content, as you see on the portal, if you go into it, is small, bite-sized. There are instructor notes. It's downloadable. And again, it links to material online, so you can enable students to prep or reinforce what they've learned in class through that online content. And, we've developed, and I'll come to this, some content with Wharton and Harvard Business School on our more graduate level experiences. So within the educators portal, you'll see these 6 areas: building a social media presence, creating content for Facebook and Instagram, executing an ad campaign and measuring it. Also some resources on starting a career in digital marketing. And another module that was requested that we uploaded in around February time was a specific module on safety and privacy. And then our advanced level content is focused on for the MBA audience, which I'll come to. So on our MBA and graduate level audience, we've got 3 main modules. One is advertising effectiveness and measuring that, and really looking at different types of experiments you can do, A/B testing. And then the second bit is looking at attribution and the different statistical models that you can use, such as mixed methods models as well as others. And then a third piece is a case study that we've done that was also in collaboration with Harvard Business School and their publishing arm, that looked at how you, the challenges of a direct-to-consumer brand, such as Purple, which is a mattress company in Utah, and they were selling online only. And the challenge is there's only a certain number of consumers that want to buy a mattress online. So they reached a point in their growth where they couldn't really go much further. So they needed to really think through how do they do in-store partnerships with companies like Mattress Firm, etc., and then looking at how they convert those in-store visits to online and offline conversions. So that's pretty interesting, and obviously something that, as we look to a world post-COVID, there is this need. We've seen direct-to-consumer brands doing really well, but there may be a point where their growth reaches a more saturation point. So how do they pivot from there and challenge that and conquer that dilemma? So during COVID, oops, the slide is not loading. I don't know what's happening. Can you see that? Folks, are you able to still see my slides, or has it stopped being visible to you too? You can still see them. Okay. So this slide here is around our flipped classroom, and this is something that we designed during the COVID response. So it's 10 lessons, and it really enables educators to set their students a package of work that they can do, on their own, and then come back to the online experience, sharing what they're doing. So hopefully that's a useful resource to you as you navigate the COVID experience, and also post-COVID as well. in some states. So in terms of where we're going next in designing new content, we are always looking for your feedback to see, what else you need. But these are some ideas that we have. We want to do much more on creative design and brand strategy, influencer marketing science. It's what we call Facebook IQ, which is our research insights from some of our brands, and similar tactics that we saw that I talked about in the Purple case study. We're also really keen to hear from you as an educator community and have you, on our portal talk about how you think about your marketing, advertising, or communication classes, and where you feel our content can plug and play, almost being an influencer to your peers. And hopefully we can be a convener for that. We are thinking about doing a Facebook marketing challenge, just like Google has done some great work here where they have the Google Marketing Challenge. But I think that will just take us a bit of time to think through the logistics of that. And if we are to support groups of students with ad coupons, how that all works. But one of the things that we learned during the COVID response is we did have our COO, Cheryl Sandberg. She announced at the beginning of the COVID response that Facebook was giving away 100 million worth of ad coupons to small businesses. And, one of the challenges that small businesses face is that they don't always know how to maximize the spend. And it could be quite an effective experience to pair up a student or a group of students with a small business and just make sure that small business is getting the most of their ad coupons. So that's something that we're thinking of, but just want to manage expectations. It's going to take us a bit more time to figure out how we roll that out. And so just in terms of the portal, there is at the top on the front page, there is an envelope, if you will, or a messenger icon where you can submit feedback and telling us what else you need. And also if you have any challenges as well. So definitely keep the lines of communication going. I also see Scott Cowley on the line. I hadn't seen you, Scott, before. I did shout you out at the beginning of the presentation for all the work that you have done in helping us get here. So great to see you. So moving on to online content for students. So the second piece of the puzzle here is really enabling students to have a blended learning experience. And if they want to prep for a certification at the associates level, they're more than welcome to do that through the 6 hours of online content that's available to everyone for free. And the website link is there, www.facebook.com/business/learn. So that's a helpful resource. The third piece of this is obviously our certification. And we do have an array of different certifications that I mentioned earlier. And for each certification, there is a practice exam and learning resources. But we do recommend, at least for entry level, to start with the Digital Marketing Associate certification. And, as many of you know, there are, bonuses offered to teachers in some states where if you offer up an industry certification as part of your curriculum. So state governments recognize that employers are really looking for making sure that whoever they hire does have an awareness of industry products. At the moment, we have a partnership with Pearson to proctor our certification online. And we've heard so much amazing feedback from this community that perhaps there are other modalities that we could look to deliver our certification, particularly the associates level one, especially as it's geared to students. And we are creating infrastructure and testing it out at the moment for educators to proctor their own students. We're also working with other vendors that many of you work with in your institution. So you've given us good feedback on very much more cost-effective models of delivering our certification. So we've definitely heard everyone's feedback around the cost, and we're making sure that we actually implement your feedback. So thank you. Now, the fourth piece of this is really, some might say, argue that it could be the most important bit, particularly at the beginning of a learner's career, is really understanding how all these pieces fit together to connect learners to jobs. And these data are data that I find pretty compelling on the social media landscape. As you can see, at entry level, there's a salary premium of 110% if you have experience and demonstrate competency in social media marketing. So what we're going to be doing, and we're in the processes of getting this launched, is bringing on our client ecosystem to potentially recruit from learners who become certified. So we are in conversations with these different brands. These are just some of them. And what will happen is these brands and companies will have access to certified learners' resumes in a job board, so to speak. And then there could potentially be a pool of skilled and diverse talent to recruit from. And I think one of the other interesting partnerships we're looking at is, of course, understanding the freelancer network sites such as Upwork and Freelancer and Fiverr, and enabling our certified learners to appear at the top of those searches. So we're in conversations with some of those partners to understand how that could play out, because we recognize, when students graduate in a downturned economy, it's very difficult for them to make the gains, but they need to sort of look for flexible opportunities. And we believe that these freelancer networks could enable them to, earn a decent salary in a more flexible way that perhaps suits people more in these times. So that's something we're definitely looking into. In terms of next steps, let's just quickly run through this. So just to sort of explain where we are. So in December, we launched the pilot, and it was V0 content. Our certification also launched during this time, as well as our online content. And then we heard some of the feedback from the pilot and have actually implemented your feedback and fully launched the portal in May, at the beginning of May, with partners like Educause and the American Marketing Association. And since May, we've now got 2,500 educators, I would say primarily in the US, who are using our content, because our content at the moment is only in English. Obviously through COVID, we've heard some of the needs that you have, and hopefully we've managed to pivot and create some content that supports you. And where we want to go in the next phase is obviously trying to get into a cycle of continuing to create interesting content for you and keep our content up to date. And then also move into a phase where we perhaps move away from our Pearson model of proctoring and enable educators to proctor themselves. So that's all to come. So just, as I mentioned earlier, do keep lines of communication open. I forgot to write my email address on the slides, but I'll just type it in here. So if you want to be in touch with me, definitely feel free to reach out to me if with any suggestions. And of course, you can put your suggestions into the educators portal in the icon, the envelope icon I showed you. We have a survey as well of 10 questions that you can also fill in if you have comments, and we have an open field. So you can just add in any insights that you have or things that you want as well. And so I'll end just with the link to the educators portal and the QR code should you wish to scan that. So thank you so much for everything and for joining us here. I'm so grateful to everyone who made time in their day to join me. I'm wondering if there is if there's questions. I haven't managed to go through all these questions that people have kindly written in the chat, but maybe if we do take a few questions now, if StuKent colleagues think that's okay. I don't know, StuKent colleagues, if you want to facilitate.
Yeah, actually, Karen has been doing a great job of answering some of the questions in the chat, but we'll give people a few seconds to sort of type in any questions that haven't been answered yet. while they're doing that, we will have breakout sessions that start at 9 o'clock. So make sure to take a look at the agenda. Just a reminder too, on that agenda, we do have classes happening on Wednesday. The Excel events portal, for some reason, is not loading the Wednesday agenda until you click on Tuesday. But we have some excellent speakers planned for Wednesday as well, and we want to make sure that you don't miss out on those.
I do see some questions here that I'm happy to answer, Rochelle. So somebody asked if it's just freelancer work experience that we're connecting learners to. So no, what we'll do is we are going to be connecting lots of different Facebook brands and clients to certified and skilled learners. Of course, we don't have control over whether or not those employers will eventually hire the certified learners. But I think when we looked at the data around marketing, there were, a couple of things that were really interesting and, challenged us. One was obviously the lack of diversity, for want of a better phrase, in the sector. And that diversity means lots of different things. It's educational levels, it's racial, ethnic, different parts of the US being represented in the industry, not just the coastal areas, etc. So what we wanted to do is make sure there are flexible pathways into marketing, and employers recognize that it's not just a 4-year undergraduate degree or that qualifies you for a great job. So we're just trying to open up that conversation with both internally at Facebook, of course, as well, because we have to start with ourselves, but also if we can be a leader in that conversation with our clients, we want to do that. And, yesterday I was talking with IBM, and they've really been amazing at championing apprenticeship programs, which is pre-apprenticeship and then moving into earning and learning at the same time. So we're just in touch and connecting with the industry to make sure that we are offering diverse and different approaches that work for different types of learners and job seekers. So I hope that answers the questions there. I'm just trying to look at the questions.
One question come
sure.
up, Nicole, is student cost and then also small business credits.
Yeah, thanks for those questions. So student cost. So our content is completely free for everyone. Our educators portals are free to go into and to download any of the content, and our online content is free to access. At the moment, our entry-level certification costs $99. However, in the presentation I mentioned, we've heard all your feedback, and we recognize that certification, while we benchmarked it across textbooks, different types of learning experiences and different certifications are offered in the industry and different types of online learning, we recognize that it could be prohibitive to many. So we are looking into cheaper ways of delivering that certification, and we do offer our certifications for free through a voucher program. But because our certification is $99, we're looking to hopefully reduce it to the likes of $10. So I think we think that particularly, and I know for myself, if I pay for something, no matter how small it is, there's something psychologically that you're probably going to invest the time and the energy into actually completing it. And when we do offer vouchers, free certifications, we have seen that they don't really get utilized all the time as a rate that we would like. So hopefully a small token cost will incentivize learners to complete, and also won't be prohibitive to learners not to be able to take the certification. And then, Rochelle, what was the ad coupons? So the ad coupons was for small businesses, and that launched in March. And you had to apply as a small business owner to that program. I believe that we've probably, because it's now June, I think many of those coupons have been allocated, and we've sort of set up training with third-party providers who are offering support to those small businesses who've got those coupons. I'm not sure, because I don't work on the small business team, in terms of when our next phase will be. But in our team, we're looking at offering it up to, a bit like Google Marketing Challenge, offering it up to the educator who pairs up with a small business. So it would, you as an educator would be the conduit there. But we haven't, as I mentioned, we're not, in terms of our logistics, we're not there yet on that piece of the program.
Excellent. Scott asked, have there been any discussions about making the instructor slides more user-friendly and modifiable?
So Scott, thanks for that question. We did, I don't know if you've looked at the version that we launched in May. We redid all of our content. So hopefully that version, maybe you're referring to the sort of January to April version, you know, we spoke and you gave us some great feedback. Hopefully it's now all in Google Slides. So it's much easier. You don't have to download all the stuff, which I know can be a bit pesky. So hopefully now it's a bit more user friendly. Of course, we're only at the beginning of this, so definitely keep us honest and give us more feedback on how we can continue to make it more user friendly. Great. Michelle, are there any questions that you're seeing that are top of the line, so to speak?
Right now, just a lot of comments on how useful this information has been. Oh, Kelly Crane did ask about finding out more about the voucher program.
Yeah, so the voucher program we did in March, and we had on our portal at the time, if you're an educator, you could sign up for vouchers for your students. And we worked with StuKent, actually, who provided some vouchers to their community. Of course, we recognize that it's never enough, and there's always more opportunity for just giving out vouchers. We are probably going to do another campaign around August time, but nothing set in stone yet. We have worked with 4 partners at the CTE level, so the ACTE, FBLA, DECA, and BPA, who've given out vouchers on our behalf to their communities. So we'll definitely keep you updated, and if we do another campaign, we'll be posting that in our portal, and we'll send out email correspondence to that. So if you do log into the portal, your details will be saved, and then you'll get updates on when we do a voucher campaign.
And David Houghton asked, are you looking to embed any of this learning material into LMS systems like Canvas?
Yeah, thanks, David. So we are chatting to Canvas, actually. Funny you should mention that. So we are talking to Canvas Commons, so the instructor organization. And we decided to wait until we had our English post, our new material ready before we put it into Canvas. But we will be looking at doing that. So more to come on that. And I guess there's a couple of things we take into consideration. Because our content's free, we want it to be available on all different portals and meet you where you are, and not just on the educators portal. However, there is a challenge for our team, because it's difficult for us to keep, as our content changes, it's difficult to update content in lots of different places that we don't own. So we're trying to be flexible, but also cognizant of the sort of challenge on our team to maintain content in lots of different places. But I was speaking to an educator yesterday in Colorado, and he mentioned that he's putting the content on Schoology. So we're definitely happy to have educators place it on different platforms, but the onus will definitely be on the educator as our content in the educators portal changes, to check back in and download the next version. So definitely be aware of that.
So we'll do one last question before we move into the next presentation. Karen asked, would there be an interest in doing an advisory board bringing together educators and business partners, especially for the job creation opportunity?
Yes, we are definitely thinking about that. And we would love to try and set that up. So it's something we've been discussing, of having, a couple of CMOs that we work with educators to join an advisory board. And we're also looking at other educational partners who would want to join us as well. So it's a more of a community rather than sort of being owned by Facebook. I did see one other question, which was on AR and VR, and I do want to say we are currently starting to design an AR experience and an AR certification, which we believe the primary audience will be creators, but we will be then thinking through how do we support educators if they want to teach some of that in their classes. So that is to come. It will probably take us a while, and our certifications are quite involved to design, and we design both the content and the cert process together. So definitely we'll keep you updated on how that evolves.
Thank you, Nicole. Do you want to go ahead and post your email in the chat one more time so that if anyone has questions that they didn't get answered, they can reach out?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time and your presentation. I think this was really worthwhile content for everyone that attended.
Thank you. Thank you, StuKent colleagues, for organizing this for us all. You are really a linchpin in bringing everyone together. So a huge kudos, huge thanks for all your team's work. And thank you, everyone who joined me today, and enjoy the rest of what ProfCon has to offer.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you all in the next session starting in about 3 minutes.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.